Just wondering about your journey in cybersecurity from the beginning. I know you started in Web2, and what got you here?
Yeah. Um, Actually looking back now, it's been quite a long journey, long and rewarding journey. It's funny, so I started doing a Bachelor of Computer Science at Macquarie University here in Sydney, Australia. And I kind of picked a degree because like I'm interested in computers. I don't know much about it, so kind of piqued my I played video games as a kid as well. I still do as well. Um, but yeah, and there was a subject called digital media. And one of the case studies was like studying like hacker culture. And they showcased the first episode of a TV show. Have you ever seen the TV show Mr. Robot?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone hasn't seen it, highly recommend the watch. Excellent watch. So yeah, I was like, there's no way that this is like an industry, It feels so like gamified. So that's kind of like what really got me like really looking into it. And that kind of caused me to like CTFs and I did my OSCP as well, which was a quite rewarding certification in Web 2. Um and then around uni, I started as a software engineer for British Telecom. The whole motivation behind that is I wanted to learn to like write exploit code. Like I didn't want to just be like pulling stuff off the shelf because usually like that the stuff straight off the shelf and straight from GitHub is like usually like stock standard and it's often not very effective and will easily get caught. So I started engineering to learn how to properly program. And then I went into digital forensics and incident response, because I wanted to see I wanted to observe hackers in their natural environment. So I got to see some pretty crazy like ransomware incidents from like the front line. Um, and then after that, I went back into software engineering. Um, and then eventually made it to security engineering, which was a software engineering position with security responsibilities. And then on a bug bounty journey, I was doing a lot of bug bounties at the time, like HackerOne, BugCrowd, and stuff. I found out about what an issue in the Polygon chain, in the Genesis block, which allowed an attacker to kind of extract funds and cause a catastrophic amount of damage. And that kind of like got me like I knew about cryptocurrency, but I didn't think that there was like a legitimate security industry behind it. So that kind of like got me like, paying really close attention to it. And during my bug bounty journey, I found out about like Code Arena and Sherlock and the good work that Immunify does as well, in the bug bounty space. And the interesting thing about Code Arena and traditional bug bounty programs is that like in traditional bug bounty programs, like it's first come best dress, So if you submit a bug and then I submit a bug like a couple of minutes after you, it's like tough luck. You were there first, you get paid, and my one gets duplicated, and I'm back to the drawing board. But with the Code Arena, it kind of and Sherlock in the competitive auditing space, they kind of do like a like a pay to train kind of model. You know what I mean? So I could learn a lot about like Web3 security and also do these like auditing competitions. And the duplicates still get paid. You like share a pool of like funds depending on how many duplicates you like there are in the competition. So I was like really, really keen to get into that. And after like building a portfolio of like bugs and vulnerabilities that I found in the various protocols, like I decided like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to specialize in. So yeah, and then I moved into the Web3 security industry. Did a bit of work for Hashlock, as lead security researcher, and then found myself here at Zokyo, and I haven't looked back.
Nice, nice, man. We have
Yeah,
to talk off topic about the video games. I got curious.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, 100%. Let me know.
So you kind of touch a bit on that, but what were So you just said the bug bounty programs in Web3 were different. So what else did you find different from Web2 and Web3? What were the, besides not having to wear a tie? I remember you mentioned.
Yeah. Doing consulting, yeah, you do have to wear a tie. That's one of the things that I do appreciate about the Web3 industry is that, we're like all decentralized and all from different countries, so the industry kind of like works around that. Um, but anyway, the key difference is when coming into Web3 is that you have to learn um like the different attack vectors. So like in Web2, you're dealing with like remote code execution, you're dealing with like server-side request forgery, you're dealing with cross-site scripting. But in Web3, you're dealing with like front running and you're dealing with ways to extract funds from the contracts. You're dealing with access controls as well, which also sort of exists in Web2, but two different contexts. So you're kind of learning, you're learning the financial concepts and also reviewing the code in ways where you can leverage those financial concepts to benefit yourself and disadvantage another person. So I'd say it's probably more closely aligned to like application security in the Web3 industry.
So Web3 is mostly open source and it's more community driven. How do you feel this difference in industry translates to being a more cooperative industry instead of competitive?
I mean, there is like a bit of healthy competition in our industry, but like, yeah, absolutely right. It's like it's community driven, it's open source. Like, if you want to learn how to do like smart contract security research, you can literally just like punch it into Google and you'll find like a whole bunch of like resources on how to do it. Or you can get involved in like the Discord servers and the Web3 security community. And like you can ask like 99% of people like they love this stuff, so they'll be more than happy to run their mouth about it. So yeah, there aren't like when I did my OSCP and like when I trained with SANS, doing digital forensics, like these courses are like, at like the price is just astronomical. And but on the other hand, in like Web3, you know, do security auditing competitions. You can get paid to train, and get paid to learn. So you're absolutely right. It is very community driven that way and very open source because we are like the source code is open source by nature. And it's naturally like decentralized. Um, so members of the community will contribute for the community.
Do you think the traditional CS degrees are necessary, or the best approach is just to learn from some documents, some material, and just jump into auditing and bug bounty?
I don't think it's necessary to do a CS degree in order to get into this industry. Definitely not. In all my time in my career and the years that I've spent in security, not once have I been asked if I'd done a degree before. Um, I thought it was just a good way to, learn a bit more about like the academic side of things and, decide if I want to learn how to program or not. But I think the key skill, is like learning to program, learning how systems are built, learning how languages work. Um and if your heart is in the right place and you like genuinely like love this stuff, then you will find a way to to get in. You just need to prove to potential employers that, why should they be taking you seriously? So if you build up like some side projects, like you said, the auditing competitions are a fantastic opportunity to build up a resume of bugs, um, to, showcase to potential employers if you do want to get into the industry. Um, but yeah, but to answer your original question, definitely not. You don't have to do a CS degree in order to. But I will add, if you do want to go for like big tech, like Google, Facebook, Netflix, Apple, then because their like recruitment process is so competitive, they will probably cut people out who don't have degrees just because it's an easy filter.
My experience has been that The people don't care much about the degree. They just want to know you're capable. Can you do the job? And what you've done in the industry previously.
The thing I would suggest is just to soak up like as much knowledge as you possibly can. Just like obsess over, technology and just how things work and how things break.
Um, how difficult were these to learn, and what tips or suggestions can you give to people who are starting out?
Yeah, when I was first getting into Web3, the fundamental concepts of programming languages languages are there. Like when you're learning Solidity, when you're learning Rust. Um, like Rust is a very popular Web2 language. It's a systems programming language. So even if you're a Rust systems programmer, you can make it into the Solana environment. But there are like nuances to these programming languages. Like you have to learn how, tokens are handled. You have to learn how to, you know, like transfer native tokens and how smart contracts handle these tokens, and that could potentially create like security implications. And especially if you're an engineer, you might have, a client approach you saying, hey, build this system that allows users to, stake their tokens or allows users to trade their tokens. Like you do have to understand at least a high level of like what's going on in terms of traditional finance, but you don't have to be like a full-on hedge fund manager to be able to do it. Um, and like again, YouTube is an excellent resource. You can like if you can punch in like how do money markets work, and Investopedia's got some really good stuff as well, because that's pretty much your job as an engineer to take an idea from someone who wants to build a system, or it could be your idea as well, and implement that into code to be used by users.
You also mentioned a pretty funny channel, Benjamin, on YouTube.
Oh, oh yeah. So yeah, a bit of a story behind that. I was doing a code arena auditing competition, and I can't remember what it's called. The name escapes. Panoptic, I think it's called. And basically, this was like a options based set of smart contracts. Like the protocol was like options based, and it was like super super complicated. So, and at the time, I had no idea how like options worked or options contracts. And so, like, I came across Benjamin's channel, and he explains like he explains it in a really good way, but he also adds a bit of humor to it because admittedly, like financial concepts can sometimes be a little bit dry
Yeah.
when you're just listening to like lectures. So he does a really good job at like sprinkling a bit of humor on top while explaining these concepts, and also bagging out a lot of the Wall Street bets folks on Reddit. But yeah, if you're interested in learning about options, yeah, that could be a good channel to learn from as well.
Would you say your expertise lies more in Solidity than other coding languages?
Like when I first started doing programming and as an engineer, I was doing a lot of like front end and doing a lot of JavaScript. And then doing security engineering, I did a lot of Python as well. Um, yeah, so I guess yeah, especially if you're playing around with like frameworks like Hard Hat and Brownie, like Hard Hat uses JavaScript and Brownie uses Python. At least when you get a project and you do know these programming languages, you kind of you're able to be a bit more versatile when it comes to approaching clients' code base and their testing environments. But thankfully these days everything's pretty much moved to Foundry, which is a Solidity based test.
Um, I guess to add on to that, I was thinking the other day, like the number one decentralized app for a few months maybe was Pump.Fun, and I was thinking, but what does it do? How does it help the world? And maybe I wouldn't think of it if the price was performing well, the market was performing well, but I just wish we have more uh, decentralized apps that offered some kind of benefits to the world, and also that were game changing. And it's just more. It seems like a lot of gambling and speculation is going on.
Actually, if I might add to that, you should look into DeSci. decentralized
Transparent.
science.
Okay.
Have you heard about it?
Yeah. But I don't know much about it, but thanks for that. I will
So,
definitely.
so basically it's like this movement that's happened where like they're gonna try and use like blockchain technology to kind of like address the inefficiencies going on in academic research right now around like, medicine and pharmaceuticals and stuff, and also the lack of like transparency, and also to address like the lack of transparency in like traditional scientific research and funding. And I think funding will be a key thing there as well, which will definitely have an impact, but hasn't really like sort of taken off yet. But I really do look forward to seeing what the blockchain technology can do for DeSci.
If you're stuck on a bit of an audit or a bit of code that's more complex, can you offer any advice of how to get unstuck?
I mean, different people have like different techniques. And what I like to do is I like to like break down. So when you're looking at the whole code base, you're kind of looking, you're just like, wow, there's like a lot going on here. So it can like really help to, break it down into bite-sized pieces. Like look at your timeline and see how much time you have allotted to do the audit, and divide the code base up evenly along your timeline into bite-sized pieces, like function by function, contract by contract. And it could also even help to, stick it into a unit test and rebuild the infrastructure to, manually play around with it in a unit test. And the more you play around with it and the more the program reverts, the more you'll get a better idea of how it actually works. Um, in addition to that, like reviewing the documentation is also usually helpful as well to get a lot more context around the contracts and what they're supposed to be doing, what they're not supposed to be doing. Um, and if you're really, really, really stuck on a function, you can stick the function into a model and explain to me what this function does, or ask questions to the client as well, and they'll be able to explain it for you. Um, if you're feeling stuck. I've never had a client that's like that's responded like negatively for you asking a question. Usually these guys and people are hugely passionate about their project, and they'll be more than happy to kind of talk to you about it.
Nice. It's also a big part of being a good auditor, no, to have good communication with the clients.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's like, that's the whole reason why I kind of got into like public speaking, like the Blockchain London webinar event that I did. Like not too long ago, I'd be like, shaking really like hard before I get up on stage, and I'd be like seriously nervous. So that's kind of why I started taking up public speaking, to be able to better communicate technical ideas to non-technical people.
That's actually a justified fear. I read somewhere that we subconsciously think that if we don't do well in public speaking, we're gonna um, they're gonna take us out of the tribe. They're gonna expel us. So it's like our survival subconsciously depends on us
That's depends on it.
doing well speaking. And yeah, what are the most common mistakes smart contract developers are making?
Lacking unit tests. Um, you were probably expecting a vulnerability, but I would say that a lot of code bases that I've seen are not like adequately tested before they go off to auditing, or there are some features that might be, incomplete. This is like putting my whole career into like perspective, not strictly our clients, but I have seen in the past where, they'd get an audit that what like while development is happening. It's like, you want to have to you want your code base to be 100% complete and all the features done before it gets shipped off to auditing. Otherwise, if you're still in development, um, and and you get an audit, when you make changes or when you add features, the audit is invalidated. So that's something that's that's something to keep in mind for developers. Front running as well is also another issue. Also with logic issues too. which is why you do get, auditors to kind of to test your code out and give you some kind of give you a security review, because when it's coming from your head down to your fingers and onto your keyboard, it might not be how you kind of like it might function fine, but there might have been something that you've overlooked or some kind of assumption that you've made. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like where logic issues kind of stem. Just searching for these edge cases in order to, cause the code to behave like unintentionally.
When you went to the London webinar, you
Yeah,
like the ideal security stack if a project had a like unlimited budget.
unlimited
Would you
budget.
mind
Yeah.
repeating it for those who didn't?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, of course. So like so if you're like a development team and you had like a, unlimited budget, ideal security stack, I'd probably start with, first, like I said before, get your features done and finish the code. Secondly, make sure it's like adequately tested, like rigorously tested. That's unit, fuzz testing, and integration testing. Fuzz testing, optional, but highly desirable. Um, if you don't know what those are, Google them. Um, once all that's done, once the whole code base is squared away. Also, another thing, if you're looking to invest in a project and you see a code base without unit tests, red flag. Um, okay, so now we come and we're ready for auditing. The first thing that I would do is I would get like an independent security researcher, like from Twitter or something, to come in and review the code. And that'll kind of give you an idea like where you're at.
Why would you suggest an independent researcher before a firm? I was wondering that.
Because independent security researchers, while it's not a whole team, they can help you catch like the low hanging fruit. Generally they're like it's slightly cheaper as well. Um, but it's not a whole team, but they will catch low hanging fruits for you, like easy to catch bugs, and then you can go away and fix those. Once those are fixed, I'll get two firm audits, two security firms, separate security firms. Um, why two separate security firms? Because different firms have different perspectives and specialities, and they might be able to catch different or more like niche bugs. Like for example, you might come to us for security auditing, and then you might go to like Satora to do like formal verification and stuff. And then after you finish with the two firms, do an open source audit. And once all the issues are fixed, do an open source audit. That way you get the most amount of like volume. So your code has already been tested somewhat, and you've already fixed all of these issues. You have in the competitive audit scene, you have like a large amount of people poring over your code, and they might be able to catch like very, very niche, like hard to find bugs just because you have so many eyes over it. Um, Once that's done, once your issues are fixed, and this is where you move to deployment, deploy your contracts, do a bug bounty program as well. Because a lot of black hat hackers are motivated by financial gain. And if you got a bug bounty program out there, these hackers can, help you fix your code in exchange for clean money and recognition. And that's also like a continuous process to keep your code secure as well, through the bug banning program. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Griff.
At least do two. If you have a limited budget, at least do two. Two of the ones that I mentioned, preferably with like a security firm to help, guide you through the whole process. Because it can be intimidating.
To have your code reviewed by so many people.
To No, to go through the security process, for developers to go through the security process, like I've heard of many, protocol owners and people who own software who are just like constantly thinking about these issues. Like I did a security internship with my uni, and like my boss at the time told me that, there are like certain issues that like literally like keep me up at night. Um, so when you got like a security team in your corner, it's sort of Like it gives you some confidence on moving forward. Dude, that was me when I was doing instant response because we were on call. So if one of our clients got breached, they'd like, they'd they'd buzz us and like it could be like any it was like at least for me here in Australia, it was usually like in the very early hours of the morning because we were either dealing with like Chinese hackers or Russian hackers. Um, yeah.
Code red early
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, exactly. And then you'd have to, log in and investigate and contain the breach. But anyway, yeah.
So this is one of the questions people asked besides the career in Web3, which we talked about. Um, what advice would you give to bug bounty hunters today?
Don't do it for the money,
Hmm.
I'd say. That would be one of my key advice. You do it for the money, you're gonna end up sorely disappointed. Do it because you love it, and that'll allow you to continue learning. Um, because if you might go through a program and it could end up being diminishing returns. You might not find anything, and then you've basically worked for free. And if you have money in the forefront of your mind, you're going to be, discouraged. Um, yeah,
So
and stay ahead of the latest trends as well. Leaderboard. The rec leaderboard is a good way to find out what malicious actors are up to in the media. Yeah.
would you say access controls like the major problem right now with, for example, the largest hack this year and probably in crypto history was Bybit, and well, it wasn't that problem, was it?
Yeah, access controls are still like an issue. Um, you know, we're only human. We're gonna make mistakes. And bugs will get through. Um, but yeah, I would say that, it's still definitely gonna be an issue moving to the future. Um, because it's implemented with code.
You mentioned something interesting. You mentioned that you suffer from imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Uh, I was wondering if you could expand a little on it, how you deal with it, and for others who might suffer from the same thing or might doubt themselves.
Yep. Well, I wouldn't say like suffering is quite accurate, but I do have a bit of like imposter syndrome, like being in an industry surrounded by, professionals who are like gun security researchers. And yeah, so it's basically when you come into like an environment and you feel like, like you don't belong, if that or not belong, you're not like worthy, like if that makes sense. Like even if like it doesn't matter what other people think of you, it's like what you think about it, like in your own head. Um, and I guess it can be like a it can be turned into a good thing. Because having that kind of thing, like you'll always be like trying to, you know, stay ahead of the curve, and you're always trying to like push yourself to raise yourself to that bar that's never going to be reached. Um, or like if you know what I mean, because you're constantly raising the bar so far ahead of yourself. I think that's something a lot of people with imposter syndrome do. They create a bar that's so far ahead, um, that when they like, eventually they get close, 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 and then they raise the bar even higher before they even reached it. Set small goals, in your career, and yeah, and talk to a lot of security professionals, and ask lots of questions. Yeah, I guess that's how I kind of like go about it, I guess. Um, yeah, it keeps you humble, that's for sure. At least I would hope so.
Mm. What advice can you give to? So I guess it's easier to become obsessed, and becoming obsessed is a good thing. It leads you to success. but then it might disrupt the balance with other things in life. Just wondering can you offer some advice to keep the balance between work, life, and other tips on performance, how to keep your mind healthy and
Yeah,
uh,
definitely. That's actually a good question. It's also a very important question as well that we should be asking ourselves like as an industry because especially being in the tech industry, like the tech industry in general, like mental health issues are like absolutely rampant here. Um, which is definitely quite unfortunate. But like how do you like combat this? Like you said, like keep a balanced life, take up hobbies. Like we're also so fortunate to be in Web3 where, most companies and protocols do allow for that flexibility. Um, take up hobbies. Like I do a bit of target shooting and I do a bit of scuba diving as well. Um, go out and touch some grass, hit the gym. Um, if you're feeling, you can't get to the bottom of this issue and, you keep drilling and smacking your head against the desk trying to get to the bottom of it, go for a walk.
you also mentioned you're standing right now. Is that something you do for work to avoid sitting is the new smoking, as they say? So you do you work standing sometimes, or just when you're on a call or something like that?
Mostly, oh, sometimes I'll put the desk up. Um, sometimes I'll put the desk up, but like probably every call I do is gonna be like standing.
And
Um, yeah. Mainly because I like, restlessness and pacing as well. Like even when I'm like on the phone, like I'll like pace up and down the house while I'm on the phone. Just can't sit still, man.
I think it helps with thoughts. I don't know. It's
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Especially when it comes to like security research, you might get to the bottom of a problem, you might pop a bug at like the most random time. Like I've had times where I've just been like sitting in a restaurant, like enjoying my meal, and then I'm just like, oh wait, that's how, like, you know, oh wait, I haven't tried that yet. That might actually work.
you get eureka moments throughout the day doing random stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you were to start your career today, what would you do differently?
Oh, that's a good question. That's another very good question. I'd be a bit on the fence about doing a CS degree
Hmm.
because that's quite a bit of debt to take on, especially so early in your career. I'd probably what I'd do is I'll probably would have like started doing CTS a lot sooner. Um, I probably would have even liked to have started in high school.
Hmm.
Doing like capture the flags and hacking and stuff like that. Um, so I'd say that's probably like a key thing I probably would have done differently. Started doing the CTFs earlier. And also learning Python a lot earlier as well. I learned Python so late, to be honest with you. Um, yeah.
What advice can you give uh, to bug bounty hunters and people who are starting their career in Web3? What should they focus on? Uh,
Yeah, that's also another good question. Pick your role models. Find people who are excelling in the industry and just ask lots of questions. Ask lots of questions. Like there's no such thing as like a stupid question. Um, because like I said, it comes back to like these people, they really, really love what they do, and they'll be more than happy to talk to you like all day about it.
mm,
Um, so that will probably be my main piece of advice. Ask lots of questions. And also the whole job isn't only technical. So also spend a bit of time working on your report writing as well. Because it's a presentation of your work kind of thing. Um, yeah. And specifically for people looking to get into Web3 security, there are so many reports available on like, on Immunify and on Code Arena. Well, not Immunify, on like Medium posted. you know, they're some of the reports there if the client chooses to disclose them. But also churn through reports as well is something that's something that really helped me as well, getting into like code arena and getting to like finding high severity bugs. Like it'll kind of give you like an idea of what sort of bugs you're looking for in various different contexts. Um, yeah.
So just to finish off, Chris wrote a
Yeah.
guide on how to write a report, and he basically said the report, your work is only as good as your capacity to demonstrate the work and to write a report. So if you guys want to improve that, an essential skill, we have the article from Chris on our website.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's it, Chris. Do you want to add anything, or
I think that's about it. I think we've covered it, unless you have any more questions.
no, no, no?
Thank you so much for having me. I hope that this provides at least one, if this provides one person just even just a little bit of value, then, you know, my job is done.
For sure, for sure. I think so. Let's hope many people can learn from this. And yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let me